at a later date. Again, Sairam, everybody. Welcome to the Mask Seva project with the Norwalk Sai Center. Welcoming everybody today. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes together learning about an important way we can serve the community. What I'm going to request is, since we're recording, let's go through the short presentation, and then there are going to be many people who have questions, also suggestions. Would love to see your suggestions and any inputs you have. So please queue them up for the later part of this presentation so we can keep the recording intact for people who will be listening or viewing this later. So why are we doing this? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The first and foremost is in a pandemic, they did a study dating back in 2005, and that's been validated all the way to the COVID-19 situation. In a pandemic, if the country was to deal with a virus like we're dealing right now, the need for N95 type masks is approximately 3.5 billion a month. And today we have a supply of 35 million in the country. So there is a huge gap if this pandemic continues at the rate it's projected to continue. And these were studies done and validated by several sources. And so needless to say, we already know that there's a short supply of masks that our medical providers need. There's also, as of 2 days ago, CDC has now recommended officially that everybody should wear masks. And we'll talk about that in a minute. About a month ago or 3 weeks ago, the recommendation at that time, based on what they knew, was that masks were not necessary except for medical professionals. So the fact that we're all asked or recommended that we use masks of some sort for protection makes the supply problem even worse, right? So the CDC's first recommendation now, as of a day or two ago, is everyone should wear a mask. The other reason for this, they've concluded is, found out that a high percentage of infected people experience no symptoms. So many of us have this virus. We're walking around, we have no idea that we have it. So the masks, if we wear them, it protects the spread from us to others and from others to us. And the other learning here in the last few weeks has been that the transmission of this virus can occur even before any of us are ever symptomatic. So another big reason for masks. However, they want to underscore, and one of the reasons they have not been recommending masks earlier is because they're thinking that we all, or the public, will assume that if we're wearing masks, we're invincible or we are protected. That is not the case. It's just a partial protection. Masks do not replace the physical distancing, or what they call social distancing guidelines and orders that are in place. So they don't want any one of us to confuse the fact that masks are going to save anything or save us and we can go on our daily lives. That's not the case. The other thing about masks and why we're doing this is not only the healthcare and caretakers required, but other essential workers in the hospital, in senior homes, in supermarkets, people who are serving us, and so on. They all require protection because they're all outside at long hours of the day and interacting with many people. So it's not just the doctors or the ICU as we hear it. And the other big reason why we want to do this is we've confirmed that hospitals and caretakers are going to accept any work that we do, any masks that we create, no questions asked. So we've been worried. I was very worried about liability. How about if we all get together and make masks and we don't make them right and other people get sick, but we'll be somehow liable as a center, as individuals, and that is not the case. Stanford Hospital, for one, and others also are joining, they have anonymous drop-offs. They understand that this is a concern and people aren't helping because they're concerned about liability. Here we just have a drop box at Tully Center. We can drop off any of the work that we do on this project, and there'll be somebody clearing out that drop box every day, and they will disinfect what we give them, and they will put what we give them, whatever we give them, to good use. So that was a big relief, and I thought, that's a great opportunity to do this Seva together, or at least consider it. There's another reason why we're doing this project, right? And that's the guidance that we receive from our training with Swami. We want to practice service. We want to cultivate a spirit of service in the community, not only for us and our children, but you know, people who see us as examples. We want to make something family-oriented. Many families are, including ours, are struggling with how to add value and how to make sense of what's going on. So a family-oriented project might bring us together as a family, as a center, and create some ways of helping the community. We also want to do this because we're here today to really increase awareness of why we need masks and how they can help and what type can help and so on and so forth. We want to rechannel our anxieties. A lot of us are experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of negative news, and this is a positive project that we can undertake together. And that's why we're sort of having this session today. And it's all about doing Swami's work, because as we know, he says constantly, and we read about this, you do my work, I will do yours, right? So that's the reason we're doing this. There are many, many opportunities and many, many community members that are making masks all over the world. I spoke to my cousin in New Jersey after a long time. He lives in Bridgewater, New Jersey, and he was telling us that they have all of the retired ladies who have sewing machines in their basements. They're cranking out 200 masks just in his community per day and donating it. So we are certainly not the first, and we are also probably a little behind. There's a lot of these kinds of efforts that are happening currently. So let's talk about making masks in the next few minutes, okay? How are we gonna do this? So we wanna first say that none of these masks that we can contribute will replace the N95s yet, right? When I spoke to the hospital, they said that they are not using N95, they're not using anything but certified N95 masks currently in the frontline defense. However, the woman who I spoke to from the Stanford Health Foundation informed us that that is the state right now. We don't know what the state's gonna be a month from now. It is very likely that all of the N95s run out, and even the front lines are going to use things that we are giving them. But even if they don't, the second line, the third line defense, other caretakers in senior homes that need protection, seniors themselves, right, are going to use the type of masks that we are able to deliver, okay? But right now, they're not considered a replacement for N95. So we don't have to worry about highly sterile masks and things like that. And we'll talk about how to sterilize masks in a minute. But just know that what we're doing today or guiding today is not a replacement for N95s. You will also know that in the last week alone, I've gotten about 10 WhatsApp notifications, videos on how to make masks at home. There are hundreds of YouTube videos and Facebook videos that we can refer to. The idea is not to repeat those here, right? That's not what we're trying to do. Here's our goal for today for making masks, okay? We want to make sure that we can make masks ordinary. Many of us, and many of people on this call are worried about even stepping foot outside of our house, much less going to Michael's or Walmart or Stop and Shop to buy materials to make masks, right? So many of us are concerned, how are we going to get materials for this? We want to recommend things that are ordinary, that everybody can do starting today with whatever you have at home, right? That's the big difference. If you go on some of these YouTube channels, you'll get doctors describing these elaborate mechanisms for making masks. And while if we can do some of those masks that come close to N95s, that's great, and we should. But we want to suggest ways of using regular household materials in a safe way, family-friendly, to be able to make a difference, okay? So we want to make masks that are really simple, all right? They're immediate, nothing that takes more than a few minutes to make, right? You want to get something out in 15, 20 minutes. We have other parts of our lives. We don't want to spend hours and hours on this project. So this is all about creating ordinary, simple, immediate solutions that are immediately useful to our community, okay? So how are we going to do this? Well, on YouTube, on all of these channels, there are many sewing type of masks or non-sewing patterns, okay? We're going to cover a few of each today just to give you an idea. There are also masks that are washable and non-washable or disposable, right? There are advantages and disadvantages to both. Remember, what you see today, please be encouraged that you can mix and match the styles that we're talking about to suit the materials that you have at home. We're all about trying to use the materials we have at home today and not reinvent something or something, or try to go shopping for things that may be hard to find or whatever. You also have to do this project in a way that matches your skills. Some of us are more handy, some of us know how to sew, some of us don't, right? And some of us don't have the equipment. So you can match some of these style ideas that we're discussing today with your aptitude, interest, and patience. I love these YouTube videos. I saw several of them in trying to prepare for this morning's short talk, here's presentation, but many of them are very elaborate. I can't even do them, you know, easily. And so for me, they're of minimal use. They're good to get inspirational ideas, but to actually do something, we want to make it as simple as possible. And that's, I think, the goal of today. And lastly, what I want to say before we get into the masks themselves is be creative, be quick, and get everyone involved around you, whoever wants to get involved. Some people can or won't be able to, or very distracted, and that's fine. This is just an offer out there and a solution that we can all latch onto. Okay, so now let's go into some quick and dirty mask making ideas. Here's one that you can make out of a cloth handkerchief with some rubber bands or hair ties. Monica informed me, she works at the hospital. Some of the feedback they've been giving is the rubber bands are not comfortable, okay? Many healthcare providers are using rubber band-based masks, and it's hurting their ears and face. And while I appreciate that, we all appreciate that, rubber bands might be the only things we have at home. If you have elastic bands of any type, hair ties, those are slightly more comfortable in this style of mask. We're going to even discuss some other styles, but in the one that I'm about to show you. So this style starts out with a standard handkerchief with a couple of rubber bands or ties or you know, elastic bands. The next step is to fold the handkerchief into two, halfway, right? Halfway mark. And then to fold it from left to right, basically. Then you put a rubber band on, or that tie, whatever tie you have, on one end, and you fold the handkerchief, okay? Like it shows in the fourth picture here. You do the same thing on the other side, okay? And then you tuck the two leaves in together, okay? And now you have an instant mask out of a handkerchief, a bandana, a bunch of hair ties. You can substitute, you can easily look at these 5 pictures and substitute what you have, all right, at home. This is easy to do. If you guys don't have a mask at home and you're going shopping and you can't find a mask, you can make one right here in 5 minutes. I'm sure everybody has this sort of supply at home. So this is the easiest, and that's what I thought we would start with. Here's a second one. This is a disposable type with paper towels and rubber bands and hair ties. Same technique, but you can fold 2 layers of like a Bounty paper towel and crease it and fold it, you know, overlapping, almost like a fan, like we used to make a fan in the olden days. And then you put a rubber band or a tie or elastic, whatever, on one end. You fold the paper towel on it, and you use a stapler gently, and you know, basically staple it once or twice to fix the hair tie or the rubber band that you have in place. And voila, you have a mask that looks like this. You basically spread it open, the folds spread open, and then it becomes a mask that you can use. And this is disposable, right? And the hospital systems, the caretakers will take this. Again, rubber bands are your last resort. If you can use hair ties, that would be better, or something more of a softer material. But if rubber bands are all you have, and you can, I know we have a bag of 100 rubber bands, we can easily make 50 masks today, right? So we should do that, and we give it to them. And while it might be uncomfortable for people who serve patients or something 24/7 or even 8 hours, this could be an easy solution for somebody walking around the hospital who needs to only wear it for a few minutes and may have an administrative job. It might not be that uncomfortable. But anyway, this is something we can do right away. Here's another one. I love this one. This is a simple t-shirt style mask solution. I would not recommend giving this to or donating this, but this could be something you can use at home if nothing else is available. I like this. It starts with an old t-shirt or any kind of t-shirt. You put the t-shirt like you're almost wearing it halfway down your face. You then, when you put the t-shirt down, the flap of the t-shirt in the back will be hanging, right? So you put that over your head. You can wrap it all the way to your head if you want, or you can leave that part out if that's not what you desire, if you don't desire a full head cover. But I think this is ingenious. And you just take the arms of the t-shirt and wrap it around your head. Instantly, you have a mask. You know, there's no building required, okay? I thought this was ingenious. I mean, we might look a little funny today in the grocery store, but I bet you when the masks run out, a month from now, people are going to be dressed like this in the grocery store. I would not be surprised. But all of us have a t-shirt, so all of us can be protected and protect each other by wearing this mask, especially when we're going outside to do our essential duties or whatever. Here's one that's a little bit more elaborate. If you know how to stitch, you would use a solution like this, right? You would have, this is a cloth mask with a filter pocket using head ties. Here you start with a cloth, you fold it 2-ply, and you leave a seam in the middle. You iron it so it's nice and flat. Again, this is a little bit more elaborate, but I'm just giving you an idea of an elaborate, a little bit more elaborate, a little bit more protective masks for those who have skills and the materials available. Don't worry, this video is being recorded, so you can view this later. You just follow along. You don't even have to take notes because we'll make this recording available after it's done. So here, what it involves is you've got a 2-ply cloth. You sew the seams, you sew the edges, and you use a garden tie or some sort of paper clip type thing. And this is the part that slips into the seam in the middle towards one end that then can mold around our noses so that the mask stays in place, almost like what an N95 has. N95 masks have reinforcements on the nose area so that the gaps remain shut and they're a little bit more comfortable. You can do that with ordinary garden ties or any kind of thin foldable wire. You just cut the wire to size, trim the edges so that they're not sharp, or fold the edges, and you simply slip it into the pocket that you've just made. All right? And basically the mask looks like this, that you see this woman wearing, completely protective. This is you can use hair ties, or you can use elastic bands, or you can also use cotton and just tie the knots. So these are super comfortable. And again, you can use this material with the other masks that I reviewed and sort of mix and match the styles based on the materials you have. Again, as we discussed, the rubber band types are a little bit more uncomfortable. This will be a little bit more comfortable, but it all is about using the materials that we have at our disposal in our homes right now without going crazy after shopping or searching around town and exposing ourselves and others. And the mask just hangs like this when you're not using it and drapes over you, and it's completely washable. And also in this pocket, once the tie is there and it's secured, you can put a disposable paper towel piece, and that acts as a filter, right? And the materials that work here are cotton works fine, but like these non-woven polypropylene bags are very effective, right? These are extremely water resistant. Many of us have many of these shopping bags now available in our homes that we used to use, but now the stores don't want us to use these bags anymore because they feel that they can be contaminated and so forth. But you can wash them in a laundry machine. You should wash all of these cloths in hot water for at least 10 minutes. Just throw them in the wash before you make this project so they're nice and clean and disinfected. So you could use any cloth, use 2-ply, make the little pocket for the filter pocket. If you use breathable, water-resistant materials like the ones I showed you, the polypropylene bag, these are the best to resist water-based viruses. Again, I show you this. This is a little bit more elaborate. Still, many of you can do this in a heartbeat, especially if you know how to sew, or you have a sewing machine, or you know how to sew by hand. But you can also combine some of these techniques with the other simpler ones we discussed to make the masks as effective as possible. And finally, I want to show you a simple plastic face shield. So there's a difference between masks and face shields. Masks protect you and your immediate facial parts, but the shield, many people can't handle the masks, and find them a little suffocating. Especially some of our elderly people who might be listening or who are in the center. They can make a shield, right, out of very simple vinyl cloth or transparency paper. Now, many of us don't have that at home, but some of us might have that at home. But it is available at Walmart or at any kind of stationery supply or even Amazon. So it starts with a vinyl cloth or transparency paper that becomes the facial mask. You use some large rubber bands, plastic or some sort of elastic band, or even a cloth string of some sort, right? That's solid enough. And any foam material that you can gather from home, like window foam that they use to seal windows, or arts and crafts foam, anything to add like a little gap between the mask and your face. Basically some glue to stick to the foam and vinyl, and then makes 2 holes on each side for the rubber bands and tie a knot, right? And you have an instant face mask that is highly protective. Now, it doesn't protect from the air, but it'll protect you from touching your face when you're outside, for example. We are our own enemies sometimes. You know, they say that much of this virus has to do with us not washing hands enough, and then touching things that are infected and maybe touching our faces. This mask protects that. You will not be scratching your face anytime soon if you have this mask on. So that helps a lot. And this is super easy. And you can use this in a combination with the masks that we've discussed for added protection. Now, any of these that we've discussed today, we can donate, okay? And we can make in our homes and we can donate it. So lastly, what I want to do is talk about a disclaimer. Please use your own discretion, okay? We are not medical professionals, and even the medical professionals are wishy-washy about this because they don't know. We're learning together. They know certain things, and they're learning as we go along. So this is the best information that we have. Please use your own discretion. Use up-to-date guidelines from CDC and from WHO. They change often, but I found that both WHO and CDC are highly restrictive, right? If you follow their guidelines to the absolute T, it's very difficult to make these masks. So you have to temper what they're saying with something that's useful, and we validated this with the hospital. You can certainly use other YouTube videos that are available on this and get more inspiration. We're just giving some suggestions, again, on what we can use from what we have at home. Protective masks and shields are not a replacement, again, for physical distancing or personal hygiene. True effectiveness of these masks is not really known. We're learning as we go along. And all we're trying to do is serve our community and help ever, hurt never, as Baba says. That's the whole objective. So here's what I would propose to you. By Friday, let's make as many of these masks as possible. Let's set a deadline for ourselves. Friday, April 10th, please put your masks in a paper bag or something and go anonymously drop off at the Tully Center parking lot. There is a drop off there. You just have to drop off. No one's going to even know who you are. You don't have to say Psi Center. You don't have to give your name. Just give is the point. If any of you are uncomfortable doing this, and you can get masks ready, and I'm happy on Friday morning to do a curbside pickup for anybody who's listening today as a service, and I'll pick them up and I'll donate them at Tully. It is much preferred that you do that, but if you can't for whatever reason, but you can make these masks, have them ready by Friday morning, send me a text or an email and your address, and I'll pick them up curbside. You won't even have to see me, all right? And I will take it myself to Tully and put it in the drop box. If you don't prefer Tully, Tully is a safe bet because of this. I like this anonymous nature of it, and they're open hands. They're really needing help. And they, by the way, are not only supporting Stanford Hospital. It goes to the Health Foundation, and they will be donating these masks. There's like a network built to other caretakers around as well. So that's why I feel good about Tully. But if you feel like doing this and donating it to some other hospital or caretaking facility, please go ahead and do that. It's not, there's no harm in doing that. It's wonderful. The only thing I would advise is be careful about taking on too much liability if you do that, right? If you, I don't know, every hospital, every system is different. There are no standards. But I just would hate for any of us to be hurt in the process of trying to help, right? Or trying to hurt, or maybe even hurt others. So the best way to do this is the Tully Center Anonymous Drop-Off. I feel this is a wonderful thing that we can do. With that, I want to stop and I want to take a few minutes of questions. I will open up the mics, or you guys can open up the mics if you have any questions. Just open your mic and please give us comments, feedback, or questions. Thank you. Sai Ram.
Excuse me?
Yes, go ahead.
So, you know, in like New York, there's like people on the streets. How do they get masks?
That's a good question. They, I don't know exactly, Myrna, how they get masks, but I'm hoping that there are some great people like that are like on this call that would actually help. I don't know the complete answer to that, but I am sure that there will be enough. This crisis has helped us all become more giving. Many people around New York City that were not in the habit of giving like we are at the Sci Center are taking these projects on. So rest assured, I think there will be enough people in New York City doing that kind of seva, I think, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Anyone else have any thoughts, comments? So again, feel free. We'll make this recording available so you can take a look. If this was supposed to be educational and informational and inspirational. That's the idea. Now we have the tools. We can go and do what we need to do with whatever we have at home. The big part of it is not knowing what everybody's stockpile is, right? Monica is sitting next to me. She's saying we can use bed sheets, bandanas, cotton t-shirts. The propylene bags are great. They are highly water resistant and breathable. So from one bag, you can probably make 4 masks easy. And I know we're not using them right now. Many of us have 10 or 20 of them sitting around our house, and we're not allowed to use them in the pandemic anyway, because they're giving disposable bags. So maybe that's a good use. I would say wash anything you have in a load of laundry or like to disinfect whatever you have before you make these projects, and then give it to them. And they've also advised that when they get these masks, they spray them with some sort of disinfectant before they use them. So we don't have to worry about using stuff we already have, even if it's not new material, but if it's in good condition, we can certainly put it to good use.
Sairam.
Sairam?
Sairam, I have these fitted bed sheets. I won't use them. Fitted bed sheet. I am using them and I'm making them at home.
Very
so
nice,
you can use
Auntie.
the bed sheets.
Yeah, you say you have bed sheets that you're using?
Yes, fitted size.
Fitted, okay.
Yeah, you can use them also, cotton ones they are. Because
yes.
We won't use them much, yeah, Sairam.
Excellent. So again, this is the time to get creative. It really depends on what everybody has. The big assumption here is no one wants to go shopping for very specialized materials. By the way, many people have suggested Joanne Fabrics and AC Crafts. These stores are definitely giving materials and having workshops. I actually went to Joanne Fabrics after calling them. I drove all the way to Peekskill, New York, because they were open, and I picked up they're giving a kit of material and rubber bands, essentially, with instructions. So I wanted to go check it out before I recommended it here today, but it turned out, to be very honest, it was a little bit of a waste of time. I mean, you get like 5 pieces of material and you have to drive a half an hour to go get it. We can probably come up with it right from what we have at home. So I would not recommend going and traveling to all these fabric stores who are claiming to give you free things. They are giving away the kits, but it's hardly worth the drive, in my opinion. So,
Oh my God.
so that's the scoop on that. Okay, we've got some suggestions here on the chat. It says some people are saying don't make blue color masks because they're confusing them with medical masks. Okay, yes. Try to avoid blue color masks. But if blue is the only thing you have, and that can help you make 5 masks, use blue color masks. You know, the problem is here, people are running out of N95s and they're not going to use N95s in the operating room. But let me tell you, if this thing continues the way it's projected and we run out of N95s and we can't make friends with China, who are the only ones who are going to give us N95s, we may have to use these type of material in the front line. And the hospital woman was very clear with me that while right now this kind of stuff is only being used by 2nd and 3rd line, it could be used for even more important needs later. And so I think we do this with love as much as we can and let them stockpile these masks. Definitely build one for yourselves, for every family member at home, if you don't have one, and use them when you go out because you'll be protecting others as well as yourselves.
Excuse me?
Yes? Hi?
So, like, remember you said that we have to spray the mask with some type of disinfectant spray or something?
Yeah, what I said was you should wash the mask materials before you build them in a in your washing machine, right? In hot water.
Yeah.
I would not spray any chemicals because we don't know what chemicals are safe to breathe and what are not, right? Leave that to the hospital workers. But
Yeah.
what they requested is we wash the materials in hot water. That disinfects them, okay?
Yeah.
If we are concerned that our hands, some of us might be concerned that we are carrying the virus or we're sick, then wear gloves and a mask before you make masks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to use your own discretion. But if you wash them and you do them, for most of us, it'll be okay. And then the hospital will spray it with alcohol or whatever they use. But we don't have to use chemicals at our own homes because we don't know what is safe, right, to breathe from, okay?
Yeah, but what about the paper towels?
The paper towel, you take a brand new paper towel, you know, it's a brand new paper towel, you fold them and, you know, you use them. You can just use them by folding. You obviously can't wash them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anything they breathe, look, the point is anything they breathe from this, assuming we're not passing on the virus in some inadvertent way, anything somebody was to breathe from a paper towel, it has to be a little safer, I would think, than the risk of COVID.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to 10:20. I'm going to suggest we wrap this up with 1 Om and 3 Shantis before we get ready for our satsang, unless anybody has last minute thoughts or comments. Anybody want to say anything before we close? Okay, let's together do 1 Om and 3 Shantis, and then we can go to our satsang silent sitting and our satsang that starts soon.
Shanti, shanti,
Shanti. Sai Ram.
shanti.